Back in the day, we used to lay people off in person. Like there used to be a ton of planning. Number one, to decide who would be laid off. Spreadsheets upon spreadsheets, formulas, you name it, right? Massive, massive process. And then there would be lots of planning on how we would do the layoffs. Then there would be lots of coordination on who is in the meetings with employees and the whole schedule for it, right? Depending on the size of the layoffs. Then there would be all of this planning and documentation creation of like packets for the layoffs, right? I mean, we would have third parties that would help with outplacement services, and we would, have all of these documents printed, and I mean, you name it, right? Just these folders for layoffs. And then, there'd be multiple people in the room and a special place that you would hold that layoff meeting, and you would have ample time to have that layoff. And it was a massive undertaking. It really, really was.
And it still sucked, even with all of that undertaking. It was just horrible for people.
Oh, yeah.
And you would still cry. I've cried with people in the layoff meetings. But the point is that there was just a lot of planning, right? And there was a lot of, I would say, respect in the process, as much as you could possibly do when it is done right, right? I've seen that. I've seen best practices and layoffs, which is something absolutely nobody wants to do. All right. Back in the day, nobody wanted to do those, right? In fact, this one time I had a colleague of mine reach out to me and ask, hey, you are in region for one of our employees that is, on the layoff list. Would you mind driving the 2 hours to their very remote location and holding a layoff meeting with them? We'll send you all the documentation and whatnot. And if you wouldn't mind printing all of that out, and let's have an hour call and I'll coach you on what to say, what's going on in our organization, like all the things. Let me talk to you about this person, whatever. And I drove 2 hours to have a layoff conversation with an employee that was not mine, and sat down with him for an hour and a half. And, he was sobbing. I was crying with him. We hugged at the end. I walked him through all of his paperwork, documentation, and I got in my car and cried 2 hours on the way home. That was back in the day when you would really put a lot of organizations, some do, of course, still today. But back in the day, it wasn't an easy lever to pull whatsoever.
It was like a badge of shame as an employer to have done layoffs.
Oh, absolutely. As an employer, to have to do that, I mean, you would be in dire straits to do that. And then when you had to do it, boy, I mean, you over communicated as much as you could. And like I said, you put a lot of thought into the process as much as possible, and did them in person, and went out of your way to ensure that people had the information they needed to plan their next steps, and you name it, right? And so that does not seem to be the case today from what we are seeing in the news, right?
Golly, no.
No. But let me ask you this. So he's not your employee. How do you communicate to him that you're coming? Or do you just show up? I mean, obviously that's a conversation you have to have. How do you set that up?
Yeah, it was through his manager that, HR needs to speak with you, right? Because this is a remote site. Their HR was, they never even met him. They met me before their actual HR team. You know what I mean? Small team, field services, 2 hours away from me in a big city. I mean, literally middle of nowhere. So, you know how it is in HR. We're just HR, like this like crazy entity of HR. But no, it wasn't pleasant.
But kudos to you for driving out there, because what you do see sometimes, especially now that you have things just like come to the office, and it's on the flip side, and you have an employee who has to drive 2 hours to then be laid off in an office and drive home themselves. And so again, it's always the idea of picking just from like that logistics. Again, it seems like a small piece, but it matters. I mean, I think to all of us so much, because it's that communication about someone losing their job, and a lot that comes with it. But the logistics of how does that get planned? What do you do? Do you have a phone call? Do they come here? Do you come there? Okay, are there safety risks with you going there to a remote risk? I mean, all of these conversations, and I agree. I do think they used to happen a lot more, because I think now the idea of remote layoffs by Zoom, layoff by email is obviously so much more prevalent than it was.
Text, post it, layoff by post it.
Email at 4 a.m.
You name it. My gosh.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Monday Sidekick, the AI agent that knows you and your business, thinks ahead and takes action. Ask it anything. Seriously. Monday Sidekick, AI you'll love to use. Start a free trial today on monday.com.
But that is what we are talking about today. Layoffs in the news, right? Gosh, so when layoffs really become the new normal, shifting trends here in layoffs. I mean, we've just got an onslaught of DMs and messages and friends and connections in our network, right? Of just, unfortunately, people being involved in layoffs or being affected by layoffs. So, everything layoffs here, what not to do, some best practices perhaps. But before we jump into that, we do have some cringe corporate speak on the agenda. Then as always, we will end with some questions and comments. Who is up for cringe corporate speak? Jamie, is that you today?
It's me. Today we have, and also can't believe we haven't done this one, come to Jesus. Yeah. And I'm definitely guilty of saying this. I mean, it's mostly when I'm talking with a manager and I need to have a come to Jesus with them because they keep doing this, or I keep getting employee complaints and I need to have a come to Jesus with this manager about how they're leading their team.
I say coming to Jesus. Oh, we're going to have a coming to Jesus.
Sometimes every once in a while, you're more Southern than the Texas would let on.
I was about to say that's very a Texas Southern.
Probably. It's a Texas nuance. We say, well, we're going to have a coming to Jesus here.
Yeah.
Which just means, hey, we are about to be real honest with each other. We're about to get on the same page with some stuff.
I'm going to set your ass straight. Okay.
We're going to lay our sins out here and we're going to figure this out so we can move forward.
Baptized. And this came to us from Cindy Opeka, who's at Murphy's Mom on TikTok, who's been a friend of the podcast. And she when we talked about fireside chats, she's like, another good one is come to Jesus. And another good slash bad one. And I just looked because I was thinking, I don't think I've ever used this.
Probably for the best.
Looked at a variety of my email inboxes and I don't see it anywhere. And so I don't think I've said this, but of course, I also at the same time looked up the origins of come to Jesus, which again, from the late 1900s, that was when it was used in the church setting, which was in a revival. Oh, we're going to have a revival. Okay. Who's going to come to Jesus? Who's going to come up and, be accepted at the front of the church? Mm-hmm. But in the corporate setting, it is, in a similar of who's going to get on board at this meeting, because it's going to be one way or another. And so it has infiltrated the corporate speak. And so I've heard it. I just have not used it.
Oh, yeah. It means I'm going to beat your ass in corporate.
I'm going to slap a bitch.
I'm going to baptize you with my position here. We're going to come into Jesus. Oh, man. Yeah, it probably is a little regional.
Yeah, I'm curious to if people, this has to be a Southern thing. If you're in...
Cindy's in California, though, right?
Oh, that's true. That's true. Cindy is in California. Yeah, she's the California HR expert. But if you're in Seattle or...
Italy, I don't know. That's what I'm just thinking. Do y'all say that?
Come to the spaghetti.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
I'm going to start saying that.
People admittedly are like, no, we don't hear that either. But
I'm mostly Italian, so I'm going to start saying that.
Come
Oh, it's a spicy meatball.
Chef Boyardee. The way you said that. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Legalized marinara.
So good. I saw that the other day. I sent you the picture of that. I saw you all
Yes.
that. That's so funny.
Oh gosh. That's funny. Oh shit. But yeah. We're gonna have a coming to Jesus a day about layoffs, right? Oh man. Like we said, there's been a lot of layoffs in the news. A lot going on with that. I think we have some stats and figures, right? Just kind of high level what we've seen. Jamie, do you have that?
Yeah. There's, I think probably most have seen this floating around the internets. I myself have posted it on my stories on Humorous Resources, but some of the recent layoff announcements are 15 pretty large companies, and they range from 600 employees all the way up to 48,000 employees. So for instance, UPS, 48,000 employees. And I don't know what those employees do, but I'm thinking, oh, geez, what about Christmas time and packages?
That's where mine went.
And then the next is Amazon, up to 30,000 employees. Intel, 24,000. Nestle, 16,000. And then, just the list keeps going on, and it's staggering because as of right now, I want to say that, what are we at? 72 million are unemployed at this point.
In the U.S.?
Yeah, in the U.S. I want to say.
Oh, I haven't seen the latest unemployment rate. But if it seems like there's a lot going on in this space, there is. I saw a stat that 25 versus 2024, 41% of organizations issued some sort of layoff versus 30% in 2024. Wow. That is significant, very significant.
From a practical standpoint, people see it, people feel it. You go on LinkedIn and you can see it all the time, and people personally, their family, their friends, their neighbors, and it's increasing. And I said recently that so I'm 44, elder of this group, but I feel very fortunate to have grown up, and meaning grown up till I was about my mid-20s, in the time period where there were not smartphones. So in high school and college, and so there were not smartphones, social media, and the things of being oh, glad our things we didn't do were on social media, but also I didn't care about social media. I cared about conversations with my friends, and we passed notes, we did those things, but we had real conversations. You go to a concert, there were flames, not cell phones, and people just were more present. And I feel so fortunate to have grown up in that, and I miss that. And I wish my kids and other people as adults, I wish we had more of that. I say that recording on technology equipment now, but I'm very more and more every day, I'm sentimental for that time period where it just felt like we lived. I feel in some ways very similarly to, for me, it's my parents' generation. They both retired last year, and they were able to retire without working. There have been recessions, there have been all sorts of things, but with this AI, it just feels different. And I almost have this can't have sentimentality because I'm not living it. I'm still very much in the thick of working. And so, but that this generation can, they're retiring and they haven't had to work in this area where there's so much stress and worry about is AI taking my job, or is my company going to downsize by thousands of people just because of it? And so for me, I do feel like this is really a sticking point that I love a lot about what AI does and how it can help people more efficient. But this idea that it can replace people's jobs and we can live in this, robotic world, I personally very much struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
As of August 2025, which obviously it's a little behind here, the unemployed people in the United States is 7.4 million. So the unemployment rate right now is 4.3%. But I believe, without looking it up, this is highest it's been, but also even COVID.
Yeah, I know there's high unemployment COVID, because also those unemployment numbers, I believe, are it counts people out of work that are also actively looking for work. And so if you're not actively looking for work, you've kind of checked yourself out of the job search process, which I think a lot of people have who otherwise would be wanting to, you have. And so we are very real people. And from an HR perspective, the point of work is is creating things and shareholder returns are a real thing that funds things. But how did so much of this come to the expense of what really matters? Like, I mean, as I get older by day, by week, by month, I appreciate so much more the human element of friendships, having deepening my friendships, people I work with that I still keep up with years later. I cherish those so much. And it's like, you just feel like so many people making these decisions are so blinded by profit and fear about HR. And this is an opportunity to do that. And so I struggle.
Mm-hmm. It is an easy button that I would never push. Layoffs. I would never do that in a million years if I was running a business. There are so many other creative levers that you can pull. And the reason why I say that is because the effects of layoffs, especially mass, are so detrimental to brand and culture for years, sometimes decades. Like, you cannot easily recover from a layoff. So be mindful of your processes and systems. Why are you getting so fat? Like, what's happening? Because is it all AI, these layoffs, or is it opportunistic 4Q cuts, and something else happening, politically and the ecosystem here. And I mean, you name it, people take it as an opportunity, and it's not an opportunity. It's a serious decision, to Ashley's point, that affects lives, livelihoods, futures, families, especially, in a country that doesn't have a lot of social support available to employees that do not have jobs.
Do you ever wish that you had an HR legal bestie in your pocket? 650 is just that. Your trusted, always available ally for your employment law questions, minus the hefty price tag of a lawyer. Compliance may not be your favorite chore in HR, but it's important and it's hard. But 650 is here to make it easy. With 650, managing multi-state HR compliance is a breeze. Their tools help you to understand complex state laws and craft compliant documents effortlessly, but also keep everything up to date automatically. They have a comprehensive "What's the law in this state" library to a 50-state employee handbook builder. 650 turns compliance into convenience. So, HR pros juggling multi-state teams, simplify your compliance today. Visit 650.com/besties. That's SIXFIFTY.com/besties and discover how to stay ahead with 650's seamless solutions. Attention pet lovers, you will love this, because us HR besties are all in on holiday cheer. And of course our pets are too. Well, when they're not snoring while we're trying to record our holiday episode. But we love our pets just like you do. And that's why we're joining Chewy Claus, who's out here making pet wishes come true. From November 4th through December 24th, you can share your pet's wish at chewy.com/chewyclaus. It might actually come true. And every wish helps pets in need too, because each one triggers a donation of 5 meals to shelters and rescues across the country. You can submit through the Chewy app, and Chewy will double that donation. So you can share a wish for your own pet. Or if you work or volunteer for a shelter, shelters and rescues can join by submitting your own wish list, and then people can find it and donate items. So go check it out and share your wish and help others along the way. Because we all know that our pets are the real HR department at home, and they definitely deserve a little extra joy this season. I love Chewy, and I'm going to make a wish, and I hope you will too. Every pet deserves a wish come true. So send your pet's wish to chewy.com/chewyclaus, and it might become a reality. Plus, your wish means that Chewy will donate 5 meals to pets in need.
I don't know if this is going to sound selfish, and I'm not meaning to, but think of all the people that have already been laid off this year, and you're adding that many more people almost to that pool. Like, the job market was already hell. It's just going to become even worse. Like the flames are higher.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of it I think is AI. I mean, you're seeing certain roles. You're seeing
Automation, innovation, advancement.
Yeah, you see automation. You say, okay. Like, I think of, for example, coming out of college, talked about how I did sales. There were different jobs in that. So first level was more of like admin sales. So it was like research about the calls that were going to happen. Had no, weren't on the phone with people, just they were basically researchers. That job is widely very much done by AI now. That was inside sales, meaning that I, sat at a phone and called people and scheduled meetings. Sent emails, scheduled meetings by phone call, did all that. That's a function people are definitely trying to automate with AI. It's not working. Like, I don't think people are seeing the returns on that like they expected, but there's some technology. Again, there's technology that can make that a lot more efficient. There's tools now I wish I had when I was, sitting there trying to come up with my, clever scripts and whatnot. And then there were the in-person sales meetings. At that gap, what you're seeing is like it's the traveling salesperson is not as common anymore. Like sometimes in some like big roles and things like that, but so much is done virtually. So I think about that as an example. And yeah, like you probably don't need as many people with the capabilities of technology. But the flip of that is how do you think about with organizations, the responsibility to employ people or not? And I ask that as a question because the answer may be there's none. But you think about what's the ultimate, goal and responsibility of an organization. And a lot of times it's maximizing shareholder returns, which means getting people that are owners or shareholders of the company the most money. But do you all think that there is an obligation to hire employees or retain employees? How do you think about that from like an HR and kind of like ethical standpoint?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a broad community impact. I mean, there's the whole field of corporate social responsibility and what organizations owe to the communities in which they live, build, work, and obtain profit from. I do think that there is accountability on the side of business to be, I'd say, more progressive, more responsible, whatever the case may be, in looking at the skills within their workforce and transforming those into roles beyond what AI can do and support, right? That's where we're not there. That's the huge gap and disconnect, right? Is that AI and this advancement is happening so quickly. Big bureaucratic, clumsy, clunky organizations, as many of them are, they do not have the agility to now shift and accommodate for the innovation and the advancements with like AI in particular that are occurring. You know what I mean? And they are just tossing incredible talent that has all of that internal knowledge, all of those connections with customers and clients. They're just tossing them to the wayside versus, hey, let's evaluate now if AI is handling this. How are our roles transformed? How's our job structure and hierarchies in the organization? How do they then catch up, move, shift, to now actually better serve our customers, to focus more on innovation, to do whatever, right? I mean, this is all happening so quickly that we're just fucking ourselves as organizations basically by not investing more in that space, like strategic workforce planning and just jobs in general, because those skills within that organization, oh my gosh, you've invested so much as a business. How can you shift them to other things? And it takes a lot of thought and it takes a lot of expertise and it takes a lot of commitment. And yeah, it takes some time and it's not going to be right day one, but I think it's worth investing in. I think people are worth investing in, but the easy button is to look at human beings as commodities in some organization. And that's not the right play, not in the long term. Long answer to, yeah, major community impact and yeah, big accountability to the people that work tirelessly for you. I wish more employers felt that level of responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, we're fucked with a capital F. But I mean, we all have 20 plus years of experience in corporate. We've unfortunately lived through layoffs or been laid off. but even recessions. And so I know I've mentioned this on an episode where I had worked for a company during the 2008 recession, and no one was laid off during that recession. And I know this is different, but things were changed within the organization to help cut costs and to save money, but jobs were not cut. So you can't tell me that businesses and companies can't look back. And if they were around in 2000, what did we do in 2008? What did we do at the last recession? What did some successful companies do that we could mirror here at UPS, for instance?
It's interesting because I think about that because I worked in a law firm in 2000. I graduated from law school in 2008. I started, and I was in employment law, and there was a transition in presidential administration in the U.S. So it had gone from President Bush to President Obama. When a Democrat comes into office, there tends to be a lot of employee-friendly litigation, employer-side law firms. While they tend to skew more conservative politically, the lawyers there, I can tell you that plenty of them welcome a Democratic president because it means much higher revenue when those laws take effect. That's what happened. But it was also 2008, it was the economy. And so like my law firm normally they hired 2 associates a year. I was the only associate. And then it was things that they did. I mean, and I remember thinking like some senior associates had like their pay frozen or certain bonuses frozen. And at the time, when those things happen to you, it always feels frustrating in that. But they actually did a really good job of communicating at the time. Still, people are, pissed, but communicating like, we don't want to cut jobs. And as I look back on it now, Jamie, I thought about that as you raised that. I mean, I remember that now. And at the time, remembering like my pay didn't get cut because I was brand new. But I had people a year older than me. They're like, "Oh, your hours weren't there, or whatever. Like yours is cut." It's like things kind of felt unfair and otherwise, but like they did that as opposed to letting people go. And I just think there's options. And so if you're there and you're like, "Oh, this is great. What about resources?" Something I've recommended at least a time before on the podcast, but Harvard Business Review, no affiliation, not a sponsor, but they welcome to. I read their magazine. It comes generally about every 2 months, and you can get their digital articles and stuff when you subscribe, but I get it. And they had 2 things this month. They've had a lot talking about the economy and AI, but a lot of it's really practical. And this month, 2 things really stuck out to me that I was thinking as we were talking about this episode. One is just a short snippet with research from Alex Partners, which shows that when you do cost cutting alone, that does not lead to higher shareholder returns. And okay, that can sound obvious, especially to those like in HR or those employees that are that. But there's so many in leadership that think we'll just have people do more. And there is no plan or communication about, how we're going to reprioritize and think about what is that gap between layoffs and all the work that you expect them to do. And so that's one, to look at it. So as you're looking at resources as well, and we'll put these in our newsletter, but also there's a whole section called Leading in a Low Growth Economy. And again, whether you call it low growth or AI or all those things, they talk about the different things that you can do. And one includes like strategic subtraction, which it doesn't come off the tongue quite as well as like quiet quitting.
No.
But it talks about strategic subtraction, and it's not just about people. So I actually appreciated a lot of that article as I read through it, which was about making things more simple, like processes.
What are we going to stop doing?
Yeah. So whether you're in HR or you're trying to influence as you can, again, leaders they probably listen to Harvard Business Review more than they do HR Besties, unfortunately, but you're listening to it. And so there are a couple things there that you can have some ideas and bring as a leader. Because that's it. When we talk about the come to Jesus, the reality is there will be layoffs. We have a lot of thoughts, and we've done episodes on how to do those more humanely, because that is an absolute necessity. But even before that step is thinking about what can we do instead. I'd say there's been a lot of articles in there about things that can be better, that are alternatives to layoffs, that have proven data can have much more of a positive effect on your balance sheet and otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Millions of things. It's just that those things take time and care and consideration. But if you're a leader, you're a manager, you're someone in a decision-making capacity here, try to slow the organization down on these things as much as you can, or introduce more creative ideas, or propose to have, a brainstorming session on other levers that you can pull here. You will be much better off. You will. Research, like science, please. Just chat GPT it, shit, like you're going to get some quick cash, but it's going to be detrimental for years to come trying to recover from a layoff, especially from a talent loss perspective. Oh my gosh, a skill loss perspective, which is going to affect your quality, which is going to affect your customer relationship. I've just seen it a million times. It is a shit show. Man, come on, come on, come on. Like, oh, kills me. There's a lot of things you can do. But if you do layoffs, do not expect trust.
Or productivity. Or
Don't expect all that shit. You know what I mean? Employees are going to lean to self-agency, and there's no such thing as a safe job in your organization, and you are going to get the the results you asked for. You know what I mean? By doing those layoffs fast, cheap, and easy.
So HR professionals have a come to spaghetti with with your leadership team if they bring up doing layoffs.
throw it against the wall.
Mm-hmm. See if that shit's al dente.
Does it stick? That's sketty. That's sketty.
PSA to all our HR besties living in their strategic partner era. This one's for you. If you're tired of pulling metrics from 5 systems and still feeling like the data doesn't add up, you need HR Bench. It's the people analytics platform built for HR teams who are done with busy work and ready to bring the good stuff to the boardroom, like predictive turnover data, diversity benchmarks, span of control, rookie ratio, and all that juicy insight that makes you look like the genius you are. No IT drama, no 47-tab spreadsheets, just instant access to real-time HR metrics, plus a custom benchmark report if you book a demo at hrbench.com. Mention HR Besties for 10% off an annual plan and tell your execs their new favorite strategist is you. Who's excited for Black Friday this year? I know I am. Can you believe it? Oh, it's already that time of year again. And everyone knows that the holidays can become overwhelming quickly. So the sooner that you get things done, the better for both shoppers and businesses. The best time to score great deals are during the holidays. Well, Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names to entrepreneurs, who will be participating in their very first Black Friday this year. Do not let your brand's voice get lost in the thousands of messages consumers will be seeing. Shopify's marketing tools will help push your brand to the forefront of the chaos, no matter what platform your customers are on. You can also stress less, knowing that Shopify's award-winning customer support team is on standby 24/7 to help with any issues that arise, allowing you to get back to business as fast as possible. Don't have time to spend hours poring over every little detail? Well, Shopify has thousands of templates and tools to help streamline website creation, making sure that your site isn't just aesthetically pleasing, but functional at the same time. This Black Friday, join the thousands of new entrepreneurs hearing for the first time with Shopify. Sign up for your free trial today at shopify.com/HRBesties. That's shopify.com/HRBesties. Go to shopify.com/HRBesties and make this Black Friday one to remember. Any questions or comments? Should we shift to that? Questions or comments?
I have something. As y'all know, I was laid off in April, and I have been in this weird job market hell, the worst I've seen it in my years. And I think I'm pretty old, but it's hard and it's rough and every day sucks. I didn't realize how much of a funk that I get in some days. And so I actually posted a video about this like a week ago, but it's something that I have found that I'm forcing myself to do is get out of the house at least once a week, and not just like to go shop, because, when I shop, I breathe and $100 is spent. But I've been volunteering with the PTO at my children's school a lot. And it gives me not only something to do, but I feel like I'm at least helping. I even walk dogs at our shelter down the road.
Oh, love.
But I'm doing stuff for free, but it's getting me out of the house and I feel like I've accomplished something than staying on the computer and keep hitting quick apply or And it has actually helped my mental health, like actually getting up and trying to have somewhat of a normal routine. Because I don't think I realized how much I needed my job and my career.
Yeah, your identity, like it's tied to work.
Yeah. And so like kind of disassociating from that has been quite a challenge and really a mental mindfuck for me. And I think I'm finally understanding that, and I'm hopefully coming out on the other side. Right when the time's about to change and it's going to get cold.
Oh, gosh.
Ugh.
Now seasonal depression kicks in.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
It's really good advice. And one thing is for those that are struggling of, okay, how am I going to find a job after these times? Because some people say, like, oh, employers, they don't look kindly on a period of being unemployed. I mean, one thing is, one of the very, very thin silver linings of so many layoffs is to the sense that you worry that there's this badge of shame or people think differently. I mean, again, if people think differently, people think that, then it's not the person you want to work for. And I get that when you're really looking for a job, you're like, yeah, but I don't need anything else to narrow my pool of employers. Get it. But knowing more and more, I mean, people are seeing this. But one thing is, like, for example, like, let's say that you're volunteering with the PTO, you're, dog walking, you get yourself out there and you're like, okay, that feels good. But think about ways that you can articulate that, whether it's your resume or in an interview. And if you don't have the mental bandwidth to think about, like, what am I doing in these? Again, like, that's something that, use a ChatGPT, pop it in and say, how can I talk about these experiences? Or what can I do in these experiences? And you may work on a project that actually helps, you're able to frame that as a positive as well. I think that's something that can be helpful when you're in that in-between period. But the other thing is, for those that aren't, I've heard from a number of people recently that have been laid off in their comments saying, I'm shocked by how few people I heard from that I worked with. Like, oftentimes they're like, I was afraid to talk about it to people, or people in my life were so so wonderful to me in my personal life. But it's the people that used to work with, and they're like, that's what hurt them most. It's like, I just disappeared. To the extent that you're a manager and you're having that conversation with someone leaving, talking to someone about the things that they did of value and what you can do to support them on their way out. But whether you're a manager or those that worked with them, reaching out to someone because that silence is very, very, very lonely, and just giving people levels of support. If that's all you can give, that is far more than just leaving them hanging and thinking to themselves, because they're probably wondering, why haven't I heard of this person? I've also heard from some of those people, like, I now realize I didn't reach out to people. And again, sometimes you live and learn. And so people don't need feelings of guilt or to look back at things. Just take the time now to reach out to people. And even people that have been let go a while ago that, are still looking for a role.
See, I mean, shout out to the importance of establishing some work besties to help you navigate through chaos, especially when bad times hit, like layoffs, Very, very important. I have a comment, not a question, but just a quick comment. Just a plea to employers, again, to move beyond this mentality of reactionary cuts, because that's what's happening. It's knee-jerk, it's easy button. And just focus more on, like, very intentional workforce planning and cultural preservation. That is so important. And I just really stress that, because guess who has to clean that up? I have done that so many times, or attempted to, and it's just like, we're years away. We're years away. We'll never be able to regain the skills needed to produce now. We're 10 years out from that. But anyways, just a selfish plea there. Please reconsider, and don't be so cliche here to do it near the holidays. My God, it's disgusting.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.